Not all paranormal investigators understand how to work with the dead, but as a death witch, I understand it well. I'm Nicole Nightfall, and since early childhood, I've been mastering how to work with and speak with the dead, and now I'm documenting it all.
It was like literally a person standing right there.
Join me as I explore well-known and even unknown locations by myself or with carefully selected teams, including seasoned paranormal investigators, seasoned practitioners, and even new ones, as they have their first experiences with ghosts. The following content contains mature themes and language. Triggering content and subject matter is discussed. Sensitive viewers are hereby advised. This content contains flashing lights. Headphone users be cautioned, there may be abrupt changes in volume. The following investigation is conducted by a professional. Do not attempt, viewer discretion is advised. This episode brings us to a famous location that has a history of horrors. The energy here is palpable, heavy and chaotic. So much so, even the animals are spooked.
She's spooked.
What if a bear just comes out after it?
That would be wild.
That would be scary.
It's looking at something.
What is it? Why is it moving its head like that?
We were touring the property and noticed this lone doe freaking out all on her own. First she was scared of something from the other direction and came running out. Then to the opposite side of the woods stared at what we couldn't see.
She's creeped. What's happening?
Sees or hears something.
Look at her.
Very skittish.
Oh my god.
Yo.
What is going on?
She doesn't know which way to go.
Yeah.
Animals, as most of you know, are incredibly sensitive to spiritual activity. And while this may be seen as her freaking out on a hunter or some other animal, again, we could see nothing, and she showed the same fear facing the complete opposite direction.
But that was loud.
Oh, she's pissed. That's her.
She had made an aggressive grunting sound and bolted in the other direction, the same direction she was afraid of before I started recording. I've been around deer my entire life, having grown up in the Catskill Mountains of New York. When deer stomp their feet like that, it means they're in great distress and scared. We were so close to her, and yet she didn't even respond to our presence. This doe is on property that contains many bodies that still need to be unearthed, 2 of which were found 2 weeks before we got here. It's home to an infamous house cleansing by a priest that went wrong, and many other horrifying stories. This is my second time returning, all with new people, and the energy felt just the same as it did the first time I was here. This is the Hinsdale House.
You guys see mine that we're here?
Oh, it's good. That's not me.
That's not her. Can you stop that if you mind?
Thank you. Who's in here with me? Can you let me know your name? Back in February 2023, when I was last here, I had such amazing responses and a lot of crazy things happen. During this episode, I will sprinkle in bits and pieces of what I caught on my cell phone. However, this time I'm returning with Drew Babineau, otherwise known as the Haunted Raven. Drew got his start with the ghost hunting company and now has started his own. I'm incredibly proud of him and how far he's come, even though I've only known him personally for about the last year or so. He's an incredibly skilled photographer, a natural talent with a natural eye for these haunted places and capturing not just their beauty, but their eerie nature. He puts so much love into what he does and travels all over to take them. His links are in the bio if you want to follow him, and I highly recommend doing it. He's definitely a paranormal investigator to watch, and he's on the rise. Because not only do the dead pay attention to him, the living do too. I want to give the following disclosure before I play the rest of this episode with all of these people involved. I don't recall most of their names. They were people attending the event that Drew was hosting. All of them were lovely and we had a great time, But again, I don't recall most of their names, so if you don't see them mentioned, it's because I can't remember. Some of them even left, not finishing out the night, so this beginning session here is pretty much with everybody involved who was in the house in the beginning. As time goes on, you'll see these numbers dwindle, and that's because they left the property. Ouija boards or spirit boards can be highly dangerous to use. I have been using Ouija boards since I was around 8 years old. I even used to make my own spirit boards. Please do not use this without a professional present who knows how to cleanse and work with the dead.
Can't promise.
I was trying to say, whatever comes through is what's going to come through.
Spirits, we ask to commune with you tonight. We ask that only good spirits come through and those willing to communicate. We ask that our ancestors and the Holy Guardian Angel live over us as we commence this Ouija board session to commune with the dead. We begin the session now and go.
As you just heard, I called on our ancestors and holy guardian angels to protect us during this session. I highly advise doing this before any spirit communication, especially in a location like this and when using a spirit board. The circles we did on the board with the planchette were to invite energy in, to warm up the board, to create the circle and attract attention to the spirit board itself.
No. Back to center, please. If you're not a spirit, what are you? Oh God. D. E. 6.
Although this location is rumored to have an actual demon present, I know for a fact that a lot of spirits like to say they're a demon, throw out the number 6, and hope you'll be so scared that you'll feed them in some way energetically by vibrating on such a low level. I decide to play dumb and divert with a question.
Are there 6 of you in here? Yes. Back to center, please. Can I ask somebody a favor over here who's with me right now? The living, can one of you, I want to close my eyes and keep them closed to prevent contamination with this. Jock, you'll close your eyes too. Cool. Do you mind reading out what it's spelling? Yeah.
Much like with the Estes or the Estes method, I wanted to keep my eyes closed to prevent any sort of influence people might think I'm having on the board. I asked somebody to come and assist and read out what the answers are.
Was that an R? Yeah. It was R. RJ? I don't know what's going to be yes, but
Yeah, it's RJ.
It's going to the sun.
To the sun.
Back to center, please. RJ, were you put here in this basement?
Yes.
That was a strong yes.
Mm-hmm. RJ, who put you here in the basement?
We would continue to speak to the spirit named RJ who said he was put in the basement.
Yes.
Now, the crazy thing is, everybody thinks when you go to a haunted location that you're just talking to whatever spirits might be there. But spirits aren't necessarily contained. We also bring our own spirits, our own dead. And it was later disclosed hours later by the campfire, with no cameras rolling before everybody left for the night, that someone here investigating with us had lost somebody whose nickname was RJ.
It's next to it, but not where the circle is.
In respecting their privacy, I won't show you which one it is, since they didn't want to share that information even right up front, and it's not my place to say.
It's like there's like a few of them pulling on the planchette. You feel that? One spirit at a time, please. RJ, are you still here? Come forward. Was that somebody's stomach?
No. That came from like the corner.
It was a growl.
Yeah, it was a growl. I heard that growl.
Was that you growling?
something fighting for it.
Is that you who's growling? Or are you the one who's trying to hold it back?
You feel it, right, going back and forth?
It's like going this way.
Yeah.
Whoever it is.
RJ, we're calling you to come forward on the board. Anything else, please step back. RJ, are you still here?
Is it him that's keeping
That again, did you hear it?
Yeah. Although the audio doesn't pick it up, we all heard 2 growls.
D?
It stopped on D.
Yeah, that's what's fighting for the board. Are any of you upstairs with Drew? Yes. Is it yes or the sun?
The sun. It's in the middle, but more to the sun.
Back to center, please.
At this point, if you know me well, you can see when energy starts to take a toll on me and I start to get depleted. Ja, who I'm using the Ouija board with, is also a spiritual practitioner. And although he's been hunched over the whole time, you can see him kind of twisting his neck and getting uncomfortable. And we both mimic each other almost in looking like we're burdened by energy. And that's exactly what's happening here.
It like keeps kind of stopping on R when you try to get it back to the center.
How many spirits are trying to control the board?
And just a reminder, even though you can't tell, my eyes are closed. It's hard to tell from this angle. But what's interesting is watching what happens next and how we both look up and around at the same time. We feel something simultaneously.
My ears are really ringing.
John, I don't know if you feel like this too, but it feels like someone's gonna be like ripped out from under my fingers. Do you feel that way? Like,
yeah, I can't really feel anything. My arms are numb.
Yes. Back to center, please.
Yeah, somebody on your back.
And who's back? Mine. Yes. Yeah. Back to center, please.
At this point, another psychic medium present, Ja's mother, Judy, points out that she sees a spirit on Ja's back.
Okay, Drew's coming down, so if you hear something, that's me.
Okay.
It's gonna grab your arm. You're gonna feel it. It wants your hand off of there. No, I'm talking about her.
You don't have permission to mount. You may use the board and nothing else.
Tim, can you stand behind her, please?
Ja's mother then instructs her husband to cover my back as she covers her son's.
All right, Spirit, we're closing this session. We ask that our holy guardian angels look over us as we close the session. We are going to communicate by other means. We ask that nothing come through or follow us through the board as we close it. With this, I say goodbye. Nicole leaving the board. Say Ja leaving the board.
Trust me, I feel as rough as I look right now. This was a very heavy way to start the night, and I usually advise saving the Ouija board session for the beginning so you actually can have enough energy to do one, because if you save it for the end of the night, the more vulnerable you are to energy and spiritual attachments and just being utterly drained. So after this, I definitely needed to go upstairs and get some coffee and reevaluate my night. Or at least that's what I planned on doing until Drew came down the stairs and wanted to do the Estes method. And you know me, I put my game face on and I was ready for round 2.
No, you're good, man. You can stay there. I'll just sit on the steps here. Truthfully. Nicole, you want to take my camera and film?
Heck yeah, I do. Let me still. Oh yeah, if you're okay with that. I'm sorry, I just gave you my camera.
For those not familiar with the Estes or the Estes method, it's when one investigator wears headphones and can only hear the spirit box coming through. Much like I did with closing my eyes with the Ouija board, it prevents the contamination or influence that we might have on the answers given. So we ask the questions, Drew can't hear it or whoever is under, and we hope to get spirit responses that are intelligent to our questions. Drew's going to take his seat on the stairs as we ask our questions. And while we elapsed this for about maybe 15 minutes asking questions, the end was pretty much the only intelligent responses we got using this method.
Can you come forward clearly? Can you see how many of us are in the basement?
Sound like kind of like robotic, super high pitched. Like that. How much? First one was female, last one was male.
Were any of you?
Kind of sound like it said Ouija.
I was just gonna ask that question. I was gonna say who's coming through the Ouija board.
Breakthrough.
Who's talking with us with the Ouija board?
Bad blood.
How bad blood could be relevant is we found out RJ was murdered.
You'll hear a lot of rumors about the Hinsdale House, or what's otherwise known as the Dandy House. This is the hanging tree. Although no hangings were actually reported and can be cited, rumor has it a pregnant woman was hung from this tree, but there has been no evidentiary support to this claim. Now it acts as a giving or an offering tree to the Native American spirits of this land.
I brought my own offering of apples, since that's always the vision I get before I came here both times. I also brought apples for the others to give offerings as well, since I'm sure they didn't think of it. I refuse to buy into the whole Indian burial ground, Indian haunting trope, but this land has a deep, rich history that maybe even goes beyond the native indigenous spirits of this land.
And what I mean by that are elementals, or the spirits that are within the earth and the trees that exist all around us.
You can feel it outside, like there's a million eyes on you, and the sounds of the animals are quite interactive.
Cryptids are commonly seen on this land, which is some sort of fusion of animals or distorted figures of animals. And even when we were there, we had our own experiences with these creatures. I'm of the personal belief that native indigenous spirits especially, as well as elementals, are able to show in the form of animals. A lot of the dead are, but when it comes to the indigenous people that believed in such creatures and worked with them so innately and intimately, it makes sense to me at least. Look, I knew nothing about cryptids even on my most recent visit here, but after researching the property, I saw it was a common sighting, and what's coming up soon is my own sighting of one, or the impression of seeing one, and I'm a believer that they do exist on this land in whatever form that is, whether it's literally seeing it with your own eyes or in spirit form, but I tend to lean towards the latter.
And again, I refuse to play into the whole Indian burial ground trope, but in checking with the historian, apparently nearby there is an oil spring that is so sacred to the natives that it was even part of their treaty to be on reservation land. And unfortunately, the sacred grounds of oil springs were the end of the road for many Iroquois, this land that belongs to them. The historian Stephen Clute even shared a personal ghost story of his own. Around 20 or 30 years ago, he lived off of Miles Road, which is around 3 miles southeast of the cemetery and around 1 mile from the haunted Hinsdale House, right off of McMahon Road. On a summer evening, he walked to the top of the hill behind the Hinsdale House, only some 100 yards away, facing the east, or what was called Doug Road. He recalls seeing a glow of what he thought was a campfire, and he heard chanting or voices, and he couldn't make out the words. He knew the area well, and he hunted it often, and there was a large pile of stones close to the location that he guessed were piled when clearing fields or crops years back.
He's thinking he witnessed this occurrence for several minutes before leaving, thinking it was some neighbors having a religious outing. The next morning, he walked down to where the glow, or what he perceived to be a fire, appeared, and the chanting too, and he found nothing. No sign of a fire or people, and he had yet to explain this, and he had no doubt in his mind that something odd had happened. What's wild is the chanting has been reported by many people at this location, even the owner. Now, under the darkness of night in the woods, I'm undergoing the Estes session. I'm a psychic channel, which means I can allow spirit to enter and use my body at will. Doing the Estes method is almost like a sensory deprivation, and as you can see, I'm using a mask here. I can't hear anything but the spirit box, and while I wish I had the audio recorded for this, fate had different outcomes for it. There is no audio for this, but as I underwent, I was able to narrate what was going on around me, including people who were leaving, walking up the hill, giving specific numbers, along with other eerie messages. The attendees were in such shock that they had to pull me out of the session and point up the hill and show me everything I was narrating while I was under. But soon we packed up, took a little break by the fire, and headed back inside to the Hinsdale House. I'm taking you all now into the living room where some say an exorcism was performed, even though that's not technically what happened here. An exorcism is performed on a person. However, the priest performed a house cleansing, if you will, and from my understanding, a minor rite of exorcism. In fact, it only made the spirits here more angry. A lazy investigator or spiritual practitioner would call this a demon. Think about this logically. We are on land, as most of America is, that belonged to the native indigenous people. White settlers donning their crucifixes, their priests, their clergy, have been responsible for their deaths and taking of their land and the continuous mistreatment of their people. We are very close to one of their sacred sites, and I am sure this could have triggered any of their spirits to react. How do you think their spirits would respond to this? Back in February, in this very room, I read from my own book of exorcism rites that belong to me and my spirits. Prayers that I have written that have omitted any reference to the Catholic Church that have committed so many horrendous crimes over the centuries. Rites that I have also channeled through my own spirits, all leaving out the Catholic Church that have committed so many horrendous crimes. I was sure, before I read this minor rite of exorcism, to speak to the native and indigenous spirits before I read a single word out loud, to tell them nothing I was saying or any of the energy I was directing was targeted at them, but at anything else that might be targeting them or any of the other spirits here or the living. It was an experiment to see what would react, and after I finished, crazy things started to happen.
No longer retain men captive and do injury to the realm of men. Offer our prayers to the Most High, that without delay they may draw this mercy down upon us. Take hold of the dragon, the old serpent, which is the devil and Satan. Bind him and cast him into the bottomless pit, that he may no longer seduce the nations. In the name of Jesus Christ, our God and Lord, strengthened by the intercession of the Immaculate Virgin Mary, Mother of God, of blessed Michael the Archangel, of blessed apostles Peter and Paul and all the saints, we confidently undertake to repulse the attacks and deceits of the devil.
I had stopped here because I thought I heard footsteps upstairs and immediately continued.
God arises, his enemies are scattered, and those who hate him flee before him. As smoke is driven away, so are they driven. As wax melts before the fire, so the wicked perish at the presence of God. Behold, the cross of the Lord. Flee bands of enemies, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the offspring of David hath conquered.
This minor rite of exorcism goes on for several minutes. You can see me tripping up a bit here, and this happens a lot, and how you know if there is something that needs to be removed at a location. They will try to trip up your words, and just so you all know, I have this entire thing memorized. I've been using it for years. However, I always use the guidebook because spirits like to try to trip you up when they don't want to leave. And just because something needs to be removed, it doesn't necessarily mean it's at a location. Anybody around me can have an attachment, and I can attest to somebody that was there with us absolutely had an attachment. This had a great effect on him, so much so that he went and he vomited right after I finished this rite of exorcism. Of course, for his privacy, I did not record him when he was sick, not to be exploitative, because I am here to help, But when I see this right away and it happens after I read this, a lot of people have that reaction. And it usually shows a great need for energy or spirits to be expunged, especially with vomiting, profuse sweating, or any sort of bodily fluids that need to escape suddenly. And as a side note, for those of you who may think, I want to see if I have an attachment, I'm going to look up this minor rite of exorcism. It doesn't work like that. Even with what I did and all of my initiations and trainings, and with the spirits that walk with me, even a priest itself, it doesn't mean that this person was cleansed, and I don't believe they fully were. It just simply triggered it. And I can only help people who want help. This person did not, nor did they believe that they had an attachment. And sometimes when you have an attachment for so long, you can't get rid of it. Not even the most gifted practitioners, no matter what tradition they are, once they are locked in fully, they are with you for life. After I read this minor rite of exorcism and this person got very ill and a few others started to feel weird as well, the energy had shifted in the house. I was successful in triggering whatever was here, and especially upstairs where I had heard walking, gave us incredible responses once we went up there.
Now I've returned here in August, back with Drew, who was not with me at my prior visit, without me reading any minor rites of exorcism, and we still got amazing responses. Right here, I start seeing something psychically with my mind's eye, this giant cryptid, which again, I didn't know existed on this land before researching it. It was a giant owl-like creature, but part human too, with its hand up against the window looking in. And I'm struggling to record and even looking through my viewfinder to see if I can see it. And again, struggling with technology here to record what I need to. And then she says this.
It's weird. Mine comes. You need the light, or
I got like a really loud
there's
screech
a
in my right ear.
Oh no. So you know what's funny, and I don't want to freak you out, but I felt like there was a spirit outside that window with like
Shut
its
your
hands on
mouth.
the sorry. I hate scaring people like that, but I really felt like there was a spirit like with
I
its
kept
hands on the
looking over
window
there.
near you.
You saw
And
something at the window?
yeah.
Because I saw the reflection in the.
Yeah, and I felt like its hand was on like looking in. No.
Okay, stop.
So it's a reflection in the mirror.
No. Really? I do want to know what's crazy. My camera stopped recording too, and I don't know when that happened. But yeah.
It is so strange.
Okay, so I definitely don't feel comfortable sitting
That
on this
one's been
ground
a long
anymore.
As you can see, I freaked everyone out once again. And I think Drew's kind of tired of me showing up and doing this to him and these poor people. And it's why I don't say anything a lot at the time. Some of you might say, well, why don't you say anything? Because first of all, I'm trying to process what I'm doing. And second of all, I'm not trying to add to the fear that these spirits might be trying to conjure up with us.
Okay, you know what? It's ice cold next to you.
Nice.
It's Katie. 58 degrees.
It's significant to note that another guest with the temperature gun is picking up that the temperature is dropping around the woman that is sitting on that couch, and you'll see why in a bit. It's also important to note this is Drew's third or fourth time here in the last week, since he ran 2 events and then came here the week prior with his mother. This house has a hold on him. A few locations have had an effect on Drew, and I know for a fact this location freaks him out. I've even proposed coming back with him in the winter, but he's very hesitant on returning. And tonight kind of sealed the deal for him, I think.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop that. We'll delete that.
Are you malfunctioning? You okay, buddy?
No, I was, because she said, who's the owl? So I'll say, ask that again.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I'll play it back. Did it get anything?
I didn't say who's the owl. I said there's the owl, but I will ask.
Bro, it's not recording.
You should write a strongly worded letter
Okay.
to those people.
No, I figured it out.
I've been with Drew on a few ghost hunts like this, and I know his face. Even though he's smiling and he's laughing, I know he's scared. I know he's nervous. I know that this place's energy is taking a toll on him. And some word of advice to everybody out there, when you start feeling like this or spiritual energy is taking its toll, it is imperative that you start laughing and joking. I don't care if you're contaminating footage or killing the vibe. You're actually elevating it, elevating spirit, elevating the mood, and this pushes back anything that might be trying to feed off of you or negativity. And I highly recommend that you surround yourself with people who can take a joke and that you vibe with very well. Now he's setting up an EVP session, or electronic voice phenomenon, which is recording questions and playing back the recorder to see spirit responses.
Drew is also blessed to have the Panasonic DR60, which is a highly coveted recorder in the paranormal field. If you were to try to find this online, it would run for thousands of dollars, and it is the best for picking up electronic voice phenomenon, or EVPs.
Who's here with us right now?
Can you tell us how many bodies are buried outside?
Sorry.
Is that you?
I'm gonna stop this real quick and then I'll hit start again. I'm sorry. Does your thing normally light up on its own?
What? No.
This fucking thing. Your EVP recorder was just face down, and the reason why I moved it face up is because it started lighting up on
No, it should not be lighting up.
You guys didn't notice the
I
screen?
did.
Okay, so you saw that? Okay.
Because I thought it was your phone. Because then I heard like a vibration.
Here.
Just to clarify, since it's hard to see on my angle, Drew saw another guest's equipment going off, and they had to troubleshoot it and couldn't find out the reason.
You might have died. Okay, so I think it died.
Okay.
Is it dead or did it just turn off on its own?
It turned itself off.
Okay. So when it turns itself off, does it kind of light up then?
It might.
Okay.
Sometimes
Maybe
it does, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, the battery's high enough. It probably does.
As you can see, I'm also in a world of my own, staring at something in the doorway, and I'm looking at a woman standing there and trying to piece together who this is, and afraid to tell Drew it's a spirit that I saw with him here last week by the name of Anna. The man sitting at the end of the couch is very much the skeptic of the group, and when he says he sees the shadow, I decide to tell Drew.
It probably does. I think when it's like in low battery mode. Whoa, what the hell? What just went through that door?
Don't.
That door?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to tell you
Did
this,
you see a
Drew,
shadow?
but our friend from Sunday is here.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Did you see a shadow?
Yeah, I was staring at it the whole time. It's a girl,
yeah.
it won't female.
I
Standing in
can't
the
tell what it
doorway.
is, but
I feel ice cold.
Oh, yep, yep.
Right now.
On my face, just was
And
like,
I don't feel comfortable. It's not who I think it is.
But why don't we find out?
Drew proceeds to tell us that he received a warning from another friend who was a psychic about looking out for a dog. But what Drew doesn't know and what he doesn't bring up is that this entire land was infested, and there's no other word for it, with wolves. There's even a nearby run that's called Wolf Run, Wolf Creek. There's so many things named after wolves in this area, and they so overran this land before, obviously, settlers came in and wiped them out too, that there used to be a bounty on the heads of wolves in this area. Again, this was something I didn't know into researching in post-production here, but it might explain why the psychic had the vision of a dog or a wolf.
Like my phone kind of goes silent for a minute. We were both full conversation just dropped. She said that she heard a growl. So she sent me a text, and she said the reason why I said that about a dog was I heard a growl while the call dropped. It sounded like a dog, so it popped into my mind to warn you. She basically said to watch out for dogs this weekend. Right? So that's why when you're like, it sounds like a dog, I started to kind of freak out a little bit because she said that. Yesterday a dog was brought up a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, fuck. So that's why it was just interesting, lining up with that. So we left off on you. So as soon as I hit start, I'll just put you.
Okay.
You ask your question, right? And then Nicole, you'll go.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Are you trying to scare us? Who was standing in the doorway before?
Are you trying to scare us? was standing in the doorway before?
Did you say it's Anna?
I mean, it sounded like it said quite a few things. Yeah. Sound like sentence, like two sentences almost.
At the time, we couldn't make out the full sentence. I would in no way say that's a Class A EVP, meaning the sound quality is not pristine, but we all heard Anna. And while I heard this spirit give that name, I don't think Anna is its actual name.
If I need to move, let me know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like the back is just ice cold.
It's just like this. Where are you?
Thanks. Alright,
You're actually sitting on the couch that the Exorcism was working on. Me? Yes, you. What's that?
What?
Was that you over there? I'm breathing. I heard like a. I think that was her. Okay. What?
no.
Oh.
Because no
Did you
sound
hear it?
came over here for
I heard it from your direction. So I thought somebody humped like an annoyance or something.
Like me too. Like I thought you got scared.
That was crazy.
I will replay that loud breath that picked up on the security camera footage. That's unfortunately the audio, guys, I have to use. And it's crazy that it picked up on that. My cameras didn't record any audio during this because I had a new mic and didn't know how to use it. But it was wild that showed up. It was so loud, we all heard it. And I showed you the close-up of her so you could see it wasn't her on the couch that made that noise. And now I'll show you the wide shot from the security camera.
Is that you over there?
It is really cold over here.
It's
Jesus.
freezing.
Right,
It's like a gust of
Right next to her.
It's almost like a huge drop, though.
Yeah.
Like, I just could go and you feel it.
It's colder next to her than everywhere else.
It's okay. You okay? Yeah, I'm just shaking off it.
That could be the cold.
Yeah, or the cold. But I can just feel like a presence. But it seems to be going away right now.
So everybody knows we were at the Hinsdale House this time in the middle of August. It should not have been this cold, but Drew and Katie there on the couch started to feel it especially, and a draft. We have no idea where this is coming from. There were no fans going. It's a very old house. There's no air conditioning. We tried a few more EVP sessions, and they kept saying they heard a screeching of an owl. It didn't sound like any owl I know near my neck of the woods. It almost sounded like a distorted owl, an electronic one, if that robotic, not like a genuine owl screech. And as it started to get colder, the energy thicker, and all of us starting to hear things, we actually picked up the same screech with the recording.
What is that?
Whistle came back.
That was a screech.
That's what I keep hearing.
That's like an owl on crack.
Well, she said she's hearing a screech.
Yes. I keep hearing screeches. I've heard them twice now.
It's freezing.
It is very cold by Katie.
My teeth are chattering. Like, and I just had
I feel it. My eyes are like bugged out because I'm so freaked out right now. I'm not even
58.
My name's
There's something there.
yeah. I heard Anna Hinsdale.
What?
Anna Hinsdale. No, like Anna space then Hinsdale. Like they're saying something else, but those are the two words I thought I heard. Like Anna first and something Hinsdale. At the Hinsdale.
Drew starts to feel like he's being touched and needs to get up. Meanwhile, Ryan on the other end there said he saw a cat ball go off, which is just basically what it sounds like, a cat ball that emits light that spirits also interact with. And now everybody's freaking out a bit. Katie took off her headphones. And as you can see here, the light starts going off, the flashlight on its own on the table.
That flashlight. Oh, what was that? Turned on and off. Yeah.
But the weirdest part is that I'm looking in this direction and you're over here saying to turn the cat ball on.
Yep.
And this thing just turned the light on as if, because I feel like somebody's in that Sorry, I'm getting freaked out now. Somebody's in that room.
Which one?
In which room?
Mike's room. Yeah. And I'm freaked out because that's where I slept earlier today because I thought
Look, what was once in the kitchen went into there. It is so ice cold by you.
I need a break.
Why is the flashlight still going off here?
Yeah, I need a break. I want to go.
Hold on. Katie, if you feel like something's...
Right now, I stop Katie when she goes to get up so I could stop the fear that's escalating in this room. What's crazy is the security camera footage is freezing too for the first time, which means something is messing with the electronics. I instruct her how to take her space back energetically from any spirits that might be trying to latch onto her or scare her.
Taking your energy, clap. You know I did before I did the Ouija board session? Clap your hands.
My head's really light.
Oh.
Alright, clap your hands. Loud, take back your space.
Oh my god.
That's from her.
Yeah, okay.
I know this might seem ridiculous, but when you make any sort of noise, you are branching out your energy and pushing back any invader that might be in your space. She wanted to leave, and I respect that soon, but I wanted her to leave this spirit here so it didn't try to latch onto her heels. And with what I was seeing with it practically on top of her, I was very concerned and did not, of course, want to scare her. However, I needed to stop her in her tracks and teach her how to take her space back, especially if she felt this way again. You could see me putting the camera down here, and I get up to help her because I can feel her kind of panicking, and I bring her outside from here. I wanted to escort her so whatever energy I was giving off and my own spirits would protect her if anything tried to latch on the way out. We gathered our stuff and we headed outside for a break so everybody could ground. While outside, I cleansed anybody who was willing to receive it. And while we were outside, this was what was happening. In the backyard, a fire was still safely going in the fire pit right behind the Hinsdale House, and we talked about all things, spiritual advice I can give them for protection, how spirit works. Everybody was a little freaked out, so I was trying to teach everybody the best way to deal with this in future situations, because after all, that's what I'm doing this for. There is no location I've been to that's like the Hinsdale House. As I mentioned earlier, it feels like you are off kilter, like you're in another world, another planet. The energy there is thick and makes you spacey and confused. The spirits here are highly interactive, and when I was back here in February in the dead of winter, this is what happened in Clara's room upstairs, which I'll be going with Drew and the crew next. I don't know about you, but in New York in the dead of winter when there's snow piled on the ground, flies do not thrive. You won't find a single fly in anybody's house, but here at the Hinsdale House in February, there was an infestation. And perhaps they found a place to breed during the winter, but I have never seen this in my lifetime in New York. What's even stranger is they don't try to hide or stay dormant. Instead, they have an obsession with trying to fly into your mouth. It wasn't until my return in August where Drew told me this was a common occurrence with them, obsessed with trying to get into your mouth. And though I don't want to spread too much fear rhetoric on this is a belief that this is how demons or infernals or nasty spirits will try to possess you or enter your body. And back in February, I was using the Envoy, the REM pod, and a few other spiritual tools up here with the Phasma box running. And on the Envoy, there's a mode that acts like a digital Ouija board. And something happened that sparked an insane amount of concern.
Can you let me know your name?
No, something definitely flew past my head.
It's going all down the alphabet.
Is it releasing?
Yes, it's coming down.
Stop!
Look at the fly. Look at the fly.
I gotta get there. I gotta get there.
It's on the ceiling. It is a fly. Okay. It's on the ceiling. It's a fly.
You stop.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Much like with the Ouija board, the second something starts counting down or doing the alphabet backwards, it means that an entity is trying to release. Considering this was right after I read the Exorcism Rite and everybody started to feel a little sick, especially the one person who threw up, this was a grave cause for concern in my eyes.
Yo, as that thing bugged out, the fly flew all over the place. Look at these flies. Yo, there's another one right here.
There's flies here in the winter.
Yo, one just flew this way. 2. Well, he's on the ceiling. What the hell?
And it just started counting down the alphabet.
It's never done that before?
There's a fly right there.
I know.
N. O. It's doing it again. It's counting down. P.
It's not good. No, it's not.
Q.
Yo, that was nuts.
And it's not letting me control it because it's not letting me switch modes. There we go. It's like delaying. I don't know what's happening.
Oh no. No, it's bugging right now.
This was my very first time using the Envoy. First location, so I was fairly new to it. However, I have used it countless times since, and it has never done this before. I did not have it on high sensitivity. It was on fairly low, and these types of responses just don't happen with this device. Like, you're lucky if you get a few letters, the emotions to go off a few times, and it switched to emotion mode on its own from the spirit board. And it just started going off and through the emotions as well. Esoterica also had a bout of bad luck after this, and when I also asked her if she'd like to go back to the Hinsdale House, when I asked her months ago, she said no. Pretty much this place has spooked everyone I know who has gone to it, and most don't even want to go back.
It has not done this yet. I mean, I'm new to it, but it has not. It's never this sensitive.
Counting down is pretty.
So this is
it's
me.
Stuck on angry.
This is me turning everything down. I just turned everything off pretty much, and I'm gonna slow it. It should not. This is the slow. This is in super fast mode. I have it in the slowest mode it can go in. It's supposed to crawl.
It is stuck on angry right now.
Don't bite anybody.
Just give them. Because, man, they're cold. Something's warming them up.
Just you know.
Going back in. What did it do?
Scared.
Scared.
As soon as you said,
and my light just went off.
Get out of there, it said.
My light just went off on my thing. Don't go in there.
And now we decide to go up to Clara's room where all of this took place, and also Mary's room. I believe personally that whatever is, quote, evil, unquote, in this house actually resides up here. Your skin crawls, you feel such a negative presence, and I felt this both times in February and this time visiting. This time I erred on the side of caution, and I didn't read any exorcism rites, nor did I feel like it was appropriate or safe to do so. Whatever is here likes to taunt back, likes to pretend to be multiple things, draws in multiple things, whether it's human, elemental, or otherwise. Whatever is here just doesn't like visitors.
Just coming out to give you a report.
Buzzed in my ear like a fly.
Oh, I saw you do that.
Yeah. How interesting.
Yeah. What's the vibe in there?
So I'm just gonna let.
Really?
I kept my mouth shut. As you should. A fly buzzed in my ear.
After trying another EVP session and not really getting anything, we decided to do the Estes method, or the Estes method, as some call it. This is where one person wears headphones, can only hear the spirit box, and others outside of the room ask questions so they can't hear. They then respond with anything that they hear from the spirit box out loud.
I see here.
You're fine.
Okay.
That had nothing to do with you guys.
I know. I mean for your camera. Like I'm not.
No, you're fine. I'll work around it. You do you.
Eyes open.
Oh.
Okay. I'm over here like a.
I was literally just about to do that. I don't know. I'm having a moment. Okay.
You telling us to be quiet?
Stop.
I mean, I'm willing to stop, but you have to ask a little nicer.
Why do you want us to stop?
Watch out.
For what?
Me.
Who's you?
What's your name?
Ha 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 ha. But like really high pitched. Like a child almost.
Just a reminder that Katie can't hear anything we are saying in this room, and her responses are instantaneous and intelligent.
Is your name Laura?
Only some of you are safe.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
I feel like it's
Who's
talking
safe?
about me and you that aren't.
Can you tell us the name of who isn't safe?
case you missed it, Drew pointed out he thinks they're talking about himself and me, and I tend to agree with him.
That message was for you.
Okay.
More laughing. Whoa, that was like an old man like yelling, but I don't know what he was saying.
Are you magic?
Kind of aggressive.
Oh my god, I'm getting freezing.
You said the message was for me?
It was for her.
Who? Say the name.
Say the name of who isn't safe.
What name?
Say the name of who isn't safe.
Turn your head.
Where?
Watch.
Are you in Mary's room?
You're giving us a lot of short answers.
Where are you?
I don't know what they just said.
You need to be a little more specific.
What?
What's your name?
That's what I said.
Who in this room isn't safe?
High pitched laughing again. Her.
What's so funny?
Who is her?
Open.
I want to know what's so funny.
She's not safe.
Who?
At this point, I know they're talking about me, and I'm sure all of you knew that from the get-go, and I don't take
Is
kindly
there
to
a
threats.
female in here that's opened themselves up too much?
However, to keep things from popping off for the newbies and not to scare anybody, I hold back.
Are you teasing us?
There was a man yelling. I'm not sure what he said.
How many of you are trying to get through right now?
Wow, that was ear-piercing screech. 2.
Why are you screeching?
Two of
Watch
you?
out.
What should we watch out for?
She needs to watch out. Wow, that was really aggressive.
Who are you talking about?
Who needs to watch out?
Okay, I'm sorry. Did somebody hear a
I'm
giggle?
starting to feel really uneasy in here.
So come out.
Come out.
Come out.
Your desk like low, just in case, just to prevent any sort of
Anything
contamination.
happened?
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear anything from you guys at all.
You answered like spot on immediately
Yeah,
after.
immediately.
Everything.
Very
strange.
Yes.
Who's next?
Now Ryan volunteers. The one who's a bit of a skeptic amongst us is going to go under and do this. So again, we are doing the Estes or the Estes method, and with things having gotten a little intense before, sometimes I wonder how much I'm going to take, even with people who might be affected, as in fear-wise, because there's only so much I'm going to take, even from spirit. I have a great respect for spirit, but when spirits start disrespecting me, no matter what caliber they are, I tend to fight back. And even Drew knows this.
That's what I kept hearing on the box. A little girl giggling. It was like a high-pitched giggle.
Yeah, but I heard it with my ears.
Oh, like in real life.
Yeah.
In real life. In real life.
In real time.
We caught this giggle on camera, and if you go back and listen to it, we put the caption up on the screen, and you can hear it.
What's your favorite song?
Was that a snap?
Are you snapping at us?
Do you want somebody to come sit in that room with you?
Bitch.
Oh, sorry.
Why are you cursing at us?
The step.
Yeah, I see you.
Are you coming up the stairs?
I saw you.
The scream. I did it.
What did you do?
Now's your chance to confess. If you want to.
Dingbat.
Sorry. I said if you want to. I'm sorry it wasn't in the same sentence.
I have something that I want.
The devil's here.
You son of a bitch.
Are you in the closet?
Ready? I have something that I want to play.
Oh, what are you playing?
For you.
This is for you.
Today.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can dance on the line, but I can't.
Yeah, you don't dance. Try to stop them.
I knew pushing them too far with all of the Catholic stuff and even doing the exorcism rite could not happen with these new folk, but Drew went right ahead and played what he played, and soon he's gonna regret it.
No. Give it a minute.
Is it the benediction prayer?
Requiem Mass.
I got a gun.
Yeah.
Why do you have a gun?
That was another language.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you kill someone?
To the insect.
In case you haven't noticed, the footage is skipping even more. It was fine, and then whenever we get spikes in spiritual activity, the camera slows down.
Do you bring the insects here?
Should I turn
What
this
the hell?
off? Should I turn off?
I feel like something's just gonna go whack.
You die.
As you just heard, I had an image of violence, and then the threat came through with the Estes through Ryan.
Bitch. We're all.
What are we all?
The next question Drew asks causes the frame to freeze, and you could see a gray ball of light over the black chair and a weird noise.
Are we all God's children?
Mm-hmm.
And as he breathed, I'm feeling very pain. I'm feeling pain in my right forearm, right here. That's like pressure.
Yep.
Let me see your arm for a second. If you feel it.
I'm calling you to the door.
What door?
Who?
Who?
Say their name.
I might.
Do it.
Kill yourself.
No, thank you.
Don't piss me off now, because now I'm gonna start my
Reach out
shit.
tomorrow.
Yes, there is actually. I know exactly what you're doing.
Only you.
After this entity could not find a target with me and I refused to respond, I start to get agitated only because I see this is starting to have an effect on Drew. It starts saying some very personal information about him, which I will not be sharing, and starts to attack him, triggering a response, and he starts to get enraged. As soon as he points out that he sees red eyes looking at him, the tripwires go off in front of us. Watch closely.
You're speaking to. Now you're speaking to me. There's red eyes right there. Actually, just red eyes right there. Actually, just You already showed me once what's here. Who's here? What lurks here?
The hard truth is, ladies and gentlemen, that emotions make you weak and ultimately feed spirits, especially if you're having negative emotions to negative ones. As mentioned before, I'm a psychic channel, which makes me very sensitive to energy, and sometimes they can what's called mount me or temporarily possess me to deliver messages, and soon this happens and I start delivering messages without understanding or knowing where I'm going. I black out and I give messages.
Forward.
I have a question. I have something on my wrist. Any chance, does any of it look familiar to you? It should. Because the woman who once wore these...
Ryan's home.
So the woman that wore these actually came here before. Do you remember a woman that came in the 1970s to this property? She came with her husband. Do you remember what her name is?
Fraud.
I couldn't understand that.
You mean fraud?
2 for 1.
In this moment, I'm out, I'm gone. I had no idea who Drew was talking about or that this even happened.
Did you just say fraud?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As in what?
In this moment, I'm totally gone, and you could tell by how they're looking at me that I must look as gone as I feel.
Oh.
Mm.
You good?
Yeah.
Couldn't understand that either.
What did you say fraud to?
What?
What did you say fraud?
Kill yourself.
No, thank you.
Are you talking to me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
Oh my god. It was like you were in a
Hey
trance.
Ryan, why don't you come out of there for a second? we're wrapping this
It
up.
would be a stretch.
Rye.
We're done.
Obviously, this terrifies Drew, as it does most people when they see me in this state.
Rye.
Just for you. Yes.
We're going outside for a bit. I need air.
Yeah.
Drew is shaken, and while most people might think that this was some sort of possession that was out of my control, usually I can snap out of it on my own. This is what's part of being a psychic channel where spirit can mount me. Of course, this was a good call on Drew's part, considering we're in such an uncontrolled environment. And especially with the threats that were coming through, it was a good call on his part. I had no idea when he was asking those questions he was talking about the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren. Had no idea he had a bracelet owned by Lorraine Warren. I didn't even know that the Warrens were here on this property with that priest. I had no idea. This doesn't even settle in with me until we're downstairs and talk about it again, because even when he tells us in a couple minutes up here, I don't even fully register what the hell he's talking about because I'm still so out of it. While most people idolize and adore Ed and Lorraine Warren, people like myself also agree that they are frauds, that a lot of the things they did were made up so they can make a cash cow on a niche industry that they made all their own.
And then when you said fraud, as soon as I was trying to bring Lorraine into it,
the tools.
you said fraud. That's why I didn't mean to say it angry to you, because that's what I said, what are you talking about? What do you mean when you say fraud?
Because you were talking about
had no
that
idea.
bracelet. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was trying to see.
Yeah.
Even watching this back, I seem kind of out of it. I don't really have any responses, and I'm not really reacting to Drew, so I'm still coming down from the mounting, and I don't realize it even in this moment.
Exactly. The Warrens are, yes, are a lot of...
They say that it's fraud, yes.
I'm just saying, like, that's like...
No, it is too weird of a coincidence. I forgot they just say they used to call them fraud.
After this, everyone left. They've had enough for the night. I think collectively between the house and myself, we pretty much scared the shit out of everybody that arrived, which is why I'm probably not invited to many parties these days. Drew also, I could tell, was done and over with it, and he pretty much said as much, but now that everybody was gone, I wanted to sit for a little bit with just me and him in the house, and we decided to go back to the living room to do this. At this point in the night, we are completely depleted and nothing was really coming through. We just had the Phasma box running and pretty much all of my equipment was dying. Granted, it was running all night, so I'm not trying to credit it to anything paranormal, but I did have an XLS set up, which if you've seen ghost hunting shows before, it's the little Kinect camera that shows stick figures, and that was malfunctioning. None of the footage I could use even from it or review because it pretty much got corrupted and it kept shutting on and off, which it was doing while we were sitting here, which was extremely infuriating to watch. Again, not sure if it's paranormal, but that equipment was very expensive, and for it to be doing that was quite frustrating to witness, which is why I then also wanted to call it a night. There's so much I can talk about with even just my recent time here and all of the things we experienced. I really wish I had also better audio for you guys in most parts from my camera, but like I said, it was a brand new microphone, a very expensive one at that, and I didn't know how to operate it, I guess, and I should have checked the levels and the footage. It was a lesson hard learned, but I'm hoping to go back to the Hinsdale House this winter. If you guys would like to see a return, please let me know in comments. Please like the video and subscribe. Please support my content. This takes me a very long time to put together, and I love doing it. To keep me motivated, every little bit you can show and support really helps, and I appreciate you guys if you watch this far. Thank you all for watching, and see you again next week. Same witch, different location, same channel.